What's up, fam? I just wanted to make a little epilogue for you guys if it relates to you. Basically, much for me because it relates to me. I'll call it slow the fuck down, okay? Because apparently I'm moving at the speed of light, doing too much, doing this, doing that. I get injured and I keep training when I'm supposed to be taking time off, and shit like this happens. And now I have septal hematomas. Uh, Thank God we don't have like saddle nose or septal perforation. I have just a septal hematoma that we got rid of yesterday. So now I got to have a tampon in my nose for like 2 days. Kind of rough, kind of sucks. And, that's the harsh realities of MMA. Especially from my point of view, kind of coming off the couch at 18, 19, 20 years old and getting right into it. I wasn't a tough kid, so I had to get toughened up. And in the process, that's what is going on right now. Luckily, I didn't get any fractures or anything in my face, but definitely toughened me up. So yeah, one of the harsh realities of this sport is actually accepting the fact that I need to rest and not hop right back into it and train injured. Earlier this year, after running that marathon, I had a herniated disc. Not fun. And it just started off as like a little pinch, and I kept training. I wasn't stretching it. I wasn't exercising it. I wasn't doing anything to help it out. And it pretty much just got really worse, really, really bad. And it got to a point where I couldn't even train. Couldn't even twist on it. So I had to take, a month off of training, going to the chiropractor every day, stretching it out, doing exercises like RDLs and whatnot to strengthen my lower back, bird dogs, all that jazz. I could probably use this to make informational videos on how to strengthen your lower back. I've got some knowledge and experience there now. But yeah, that was really rough. That was hard to not train during that time. And I would get to a point, where 2 weeks in, I'm feeling a little bit better and I'm starting to train again. And now I'm hurting myself. And I never gave myself the rest that I actually needed. So, just accepting the fact that you're still young, you got the time. And if you don't rest, you're going to just end up hurting yourself even more. So take the rest, do what you got to do. You got all the time in the world, dude. So chill out. Now, actually doing that is extremely frustrating, and that's why I ended up going back and training even more, because how do you expect me to just sit down and not train? I was going bonkers. I was sat there going insane. I simply could not sit down and not train. I don't like to do things like stretch. Stretching sucks. Or doing like physical therapy like bird dogs. That's just little tedious things that I couldn't wrap my head around. And, through due process of discipline, the same way that I earned my levels of respect for actually working hard and working out, I had to do that for stretching. So it's basically much just getting down, stretching for 5 minutes a day, every single day. And eventually that 5 minutes turns to 10, 15, 20. Next thing you know, you're stretching all the time. Everywhere you go, you love stretching now. So, making it a part of your life. That's what health is all about, is just making it your main priority in your life, is being healthy. So that's a great way to actually stay disciplined and help yourself recover, is find aspects in your life that you can also improve, right? My flexibility wasn't as high, but my strength and my speed and my skill, my technical training, my sparring was all up here, right? But my flexibility was really down here. And while I couldn't work on this anymore because I was injured with a, herniated disc, I had to then up my flexibility or up my mental game or do stuff like this, right? Like trading and learning how to make money so I can actually fund this stuff that I do and the sport that we're in. It's an expensive sport. So actually being able to do that was a great idea. And I fell in love with it. So now we're working on flexibility. We're working on stock trading. We're working on doing stuff like this and just being consistent with it, because inconsistency really, really hurts you. So how to stay disciplined and not rush recovery is find other things in your life that you can put time towards, right? I feel a lot better now after the herniated disc. We were back to training. I started competing, and then, it's winter time and everybody's getting sick. I haven't been sick in like 5 years. So all of a sudden my immune system drops and I get the norovirus. So I'm throwing up for a week. Right now, it was like 12 hours. I'm throwing up for like 12 hours. And that put me out for like, a week. I was back to training pretty quickly, but still I was like, I thinned out. I wasn't on my, You know, it really affected my meal prep that I'd worked really hard on, and I didn't have an appetite, so eating was really hard. But in the grand scheme of things, guys, we got right back to it, and I'm healthier than ever. And then next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I get hit with the flu A, which is pretty deep. That was worse than the norovirus and the stomach bug. I would have honestly rather had the stomach bug twice and just thrown up for 12 hours. That was not that bad. But that influenza virus, that flu A, was fucked up. I was in bed, couldn't breathe out of my nose. It was rough for like a good week, 10 days maybe even. But then, boom, we recovered from that. I got back to training. I was competing. We had a beautiful competition. I placed second place in a sub-only tournament. And then I'm sparring, and I slipped into a knee, and I took a knee to the nose. I got all busted up. I ended up getting a slight concussion from it. Still have one. Moving around does not help. The light hurts, but I'm a dumbass. I just keep going. So we're in the process of just continuously going, but you know, that was not training very smart. I had no headgear on, and I was training with somebody 100 pounds heavier than me. If I don't have control by myself when I'm training with somebody bigger, they're not going to have control. So, you know, simply punching them in the head to my standard degree of what I would believe that maybe that person is evaluated towards does not, you know, they're just going to hit me back as much as they want to as well. So that's what happened. I got fucked up basically, and I had a septal hematoma. They had to put some lidocaine in it to numb it up, and they took an incision knife, sliced it open. All the blood came out, you know, pus, fluid. It was gross. And then right after that, she stuck a medical tampon in my nose and flushed it with saline, and it swelled up. And now that's what we got in my nose right now. Looks pretty nasty. Ugh. But it's not that bad. It's pretty fucking bad. It looks gross. So common mistakes that actually lead towards injuries would be not wearing your headgear. You should definitely wear your headgear. Headgear's an iffy, touchy subject because it obstructs your sight, it obstructs your view, and I believe you could still get concussions. It just stops you from getting like septal hematomas and nose breaks and orbital breaks and cuts and bruises on your face, which at the end of the day, I don't really mind. I'm just kind of trying to avoid a concussion. So I never really wore the headgear. But yeah, I would say wear the proper gear, you know, warm up properly and understand that you have to have the proper defensive skills to actually not get hurt. I would say choose your training partners wisely. You know, if you're 150 pounds, probably don't train with somebody who's 230 pounds because, you know, you're going to get in a fucking car accident. So be careful when you're training. Be smart. Train cerebrally. Train to improve your own game. You know, you don't need to be hard sparring every day. There's a reason why people don't hard spar every day because you don't get much out of it and you just end up getting fucked up in the long run. So train smart. Yeah, so same thing when you are actually trying to avoid getting re-injured while training and not being a dumbass like me, training constantly while you're still injured. Things that you could do are, you know, put your time and effort into learning other things like dieting, learning how to make money. Yeah, Charlie, but chill out, dude. Take a deep breath. Slow the fuck down. You're young. You got all the time in the world. You know, you got a lot of baskets right now. You only got 2 hands. So I'd say keep your baskets safe. Keep all the eggs in your baskets safe back at home base and only take 2 out at a time, you know. Unfortunately, I dropped the the sparring basket and I got a little bit of an injury. So I took that basket back and I dropped it back at the hut. Dropped it back at headquarters at home base. And now I'm going to walk out with my other baskets. And currently my other baskets are focusing on stuff like this and helping people, helping myself, advising myself, giving myself notes and stuff that I could go back and read on. And just being smart about life and growing my brain instead of hurting it. If you don't actually allow your concussion to recover, you will just constantly be getting more and more concussions. They'll just be getting worse. And you could possibly end up brain dead. So if you got a concussion, let it rest. Get back to normal. They say you have to have 5 days without any symptoms, okay? So, you know, you go 3 days without any symptoms, and on the 4th day, you start to get a headache and you start to be really sensitive to light. That 5 days restarts. So, you know, allow yourself to really rest. Take the time off. Do what you got to do. Your brain is a very serious thing that we can't recover. You know, you get a shoulder injury, you could always get surgery for it, but you hurt your brain, you're pretty much kaputs for life, dude. So keep that brain safe. Don't mess around with it. You know, it's not the end of the world if you do get a concussion, but it is the end of the world if you don't allow it to heal properly. Yeah, well, Charlie, that was it today, dude. That's all I have for you. You know, it's going to be a sucky couple of weeks just because I know how hard you like to train and I know how hard it is to rest and recover. But as much as working hard is a part of it, resting hard is also a part of it. So we'll be getting good at resting hard. It's been a rough couple of months, but that's the way it is. Let's hope for a beautiful, amazing rest of the year. Love y'all. Peace out.